Generation Z, the generation that is defined as being born from the mid-90s into the 2000s. Today, America's political views are very, to what we would believe, to be polarized. There are those that believe that there is a rising trend of some political views. There have been researchers who have said that Generation Z will carry a trend of conservative views, while others say today society is more liberal than ever. Is the future generation known as Generation Z a conservative future?
Families moved to the newly built suburbs, where dads went to work, but moms, for the most part, stayed home.
Or liberal future?
Oh, police are here! Ooh. Ooh. Change! It's change! Sorry, pal, but Obama's president now! Obama! Obama!
Why am I not seeing things too clearly? Will Generation Z be socialist? Will Generation Z be more libertarian? Will Generation Z be fascist? Will Generation Z be communist?
What do I owe you? Nothing. It's for
Political views are a spectrum of ideas and ideology. Today, I have gone to Afton High School to interview some of today's teenagers, some of today's Generation Z, to see what their political views are and to see if there is a rising or lowering trend in any political ideologies. I will ask the students today what they believe, what they see this generation as identifying as, and I will see if polarized political views is just the truth that we live in today. That today people are just more polarized than ever in the era of the Donald Trump, in the era of the alt-right, in the era of the radical left and anti-fascist group. In the era where people will riot, people just speaking, where people will riot to support the president, where people will riot to hate the president.
Don't worry, Jacques. Soon God will exact his revenge upon us for our imperfections.
Today, I will see what Generation Z truly believes by simply sticking a camera in their face and asking them. Let's see what today's teenagers truly believe. What label would you align yourself on the political spectrum?
That's hard. I guess I would kind of be a conservative.
I'd have to say I lean pretty left, but I wouldn't necessarily call myself a liberal or a Democrat. I have a lot of like Marxist ideals, so I say I'm more just left wing.
I guess I would fall more towards the Democrat Party.
Definitely more liberal. I do have some issues with some liberal policies that I could list off if you wanted. For the most part, I'm generally liberal. In domestic policies, I really don't know enough about foreign affairs to make any sort of call one way or another there.
You'd probably have to be going towards the liberal, I would say.
See, I wouldn't say I'm extreme of either, you know? I'm like, if I had to choose one, I'd say Republican for governmental structure, but for like regulation and for like human rights, more of like a Democrat.
I'm a Democrat.
I don't align myself with one political party, actually.
I'd say I'm libertarian.
At this point, I'd probably be a moderate.
Conservative Republican.
I'm more of like a liberal Democrat.
Generation Z is the most conservative since World War II. This is a report out of the Daily Mail, which is actually a few months old now, but I wanted to re-highlight it. And when I say conservative, it's basically just reality-based. It's common sense-based. The most conservative since World War II. You look at the percentages, around 85% of millennials and those in Generation X had a quite or very liberal stance overall. You compare that to Generation Z and it's quite the opposite.
What political identity do you think this generation is identifying as, mostly this generation being from 1995 born up?
So I would say that saying that you guys are Democrats doesn't do you justice. And I honestly feel like we might see the emergence of a third party scene that has more progressive values than the Democratic Party currently is, kind of not like less big tent-ish.
In terms of political culture, how do you think this new generation of new and soon-to-be voters differs from older generations like Generation X and baby boomers?
I think this new generation of voters are, I'm gonna use the term you guys use all the time, they're woke.
Is burning the flag free speech, treason, or something else?
That is definitely free speech. I'm doing a documentary on the Pledge of Allegiance. I definitely strongly believe that you should be able to do whatever you want to the American flag.
In particular, I don't really think it's respectful, but my personal opinion, I think that it is a freedom of speech and it's usually used to make a point, and I don't think there's anything inherently evil or wrong with it.
I don't think it's either. I think it's just disrespect and showing disloyalty. So I guess more treason, because it's showing disloyalty to your country. Like anywhere else, like if you go to some other countries, burning the flag is like immediate death and stuff like that, or speaking out in violent ways like that can be a very serious consequence.
I don't think it's a good thing. I mean, it's a flag, you know, it's a symbol of that country. I think that's insanely disrespectful to, I guess, like the country and everything that it stands for, you know, because you're burning the flag, you're also kind of pissing on what it stands for, you know. And in some countries, the government may be corrupt, but what it, like the flag, like what it symbolizes, may still be like a good thing. So like America, say like we have, you know, let's like theoretically we have, you know, terrible government, you know, our government's not doing a good job. But the flag still technically symbolizes, you know, freedom and, you know, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. So I'm definitely against it.
Would you say it should be illegal, or do you think it falls under free speech?
I disagree with it, but I think it falls under freedom of speech.
Would you say there are any political speakers, philosophers, or politicians you would look up to, or?
Just from what I'm hearing off of like teachers and stuff, no, because I don't really research it myself.
It's hard to say nowadays. Nowadays, you know, I don't know. It's kind of hard to pick like one really good one. Like, I can only get like kind of some like the more like past presidents, like a little bit. Like again, like Theodore Roosevelt, I think is probably like a really good. He was a great president. You know, like he was like a, you know, like a Republican, but he did also kind of find the perfect middle ground between, you know, conservative and liberal ideals and kind of put them together.
Well, I read a lot of works from Vladimir Lenin and a lot of stuff from like Trotskyism and different things, or international politics and international economics. But for Americans, I was a Bernie Sanders supporter, but I've just recently gotten into politics, so.
There's not really any one person I look up to. I kind of just believe what I believe and, go with that.
Not exactly, no.
I don't know, Donald Trump and Ronald Reagan. Definitely look up to those two.
We're gonna say Ron Paul right here, sir.
Do you think Generation Z is more conservative or liberal or something else?
I would argue that I think what we're seeing with this younger generation, I want to say they're probably more liberal, but I do start to see more conservative tendencies as well. I think with this generation, they're a group that can kind of be swayed either way, I think, depending upon maybe what they hear, what they see in the media, maybe what they're getting from their peers. I think they're easily swayable with our social media. I think they're constantly influenced by what social media has to say. So really, I want to say that I see some more liberal tendencies. At the same time, though, I do see some, there's some traditional aspects, what used to be kind of the traditional norms. I'm starting to see that a little bit more as well. But if I had to pick or choose which one, I would probably say I would lean more towards they're a little bit more liberal these days.
As political views go, how do you think Generation Z differs from other generations?
I don't know. I think at the end of the day, you see older generations being more conservative, which I think is a natural progression people take on, kind of holding on to their past. But then you also see younger generations kind of taking up the torch of their, the issues of their time. So I don't know, I think they're kind of just doing the same thing everyone else has always done.
Do you think there's a general consensus on what political views young people normally hold?
Yes, I think a lot of people would assume that young people hold more liberal viewpoint as opposed to a conservative one.
Do you think government should play a big role in society?
No, I think they should be there for things like law and punishment and keeping things in order. But when it comes to like personal things, I think that they should keep a distance.
Yeah, I think government is really important, and I think government regulations and government distributions are very helpful, and it should be a big part of people's lives.
What are your thoughts on government breaching privacy to defeat terrorism?
I think that's stupid, because, for one, this is just me. I live in this country. I have to abide by their rules. I personally don't have anything to hide. And if I'm going to be in this country, and if the government says they want to watch my activity on my computer, go ahead. The only people who suffer from this are the ones that have insecurities about what they watch or what they look up online. That's not no one else's problem. That's theirs. So if you don't want if you don't like the government looking at your stuff, then don't use the internet.
Do you mean privacy of the American people or privacy of like other countries?
The American people.
The American people. Don't look through my call logs and we're fine.
I guess we might not be as polarized as we were before, because I believe we've gotten a wide range of diverse opinions. We've gotten some conservatives and we've gotten liberals. We've gotten people who push the boundaries of the socialist spectrum and people who identify as libertarians. Maybe Generation Z isn't fully defined yet. Maybe we are too early on to truly see if there is a 100% growing trend in today's generation. Maybe we're not polarized. Maybe we live in an era that is more diverse politically than ever before. Maybe we just haven't had that John Kennedy or FDR or truly captivating figure to set America on a pace to drive a generation. Maybe there isn't a true, definite trend. At least, maybe not in this Missouri school. We are so early on that we cannot be defined yet. For decades to come, we are Generation Z. Who knows what can happen? I mean, Z is the last letter in the alphabet, and we are having threats of a World War III. So who knows? Maybe we'll go out in a big bang as the most conservative generation since Generation Baby Boomer. Maybe we'll go out the most liberal generation ever. Maybe we'll go out as communist revolutionaries. Maybe we'll go out as free-thinking libertarians. Or maybe we'll just keep lasting and living and being a bunch of diverse people with a bunch of diverse opinions.
Smart Sound